opportunities and regulations. So we'll go one by one. We'll divide it into the part about a nutraceutical, then what are the global opportunities of nutraceutical at present, and the regulations of nutraceuticals all over the globe, including India. So what are the nutraceuticals and what are their types? Now, why this is a question? That is the big question at present. Nutraceuticals. Now, despite of the online session, I would like to make it a more interactive. And those who can hear without hurdles, they can respond immediately. I'll wait for 2-3 seconds for the responses, and then I'll move forward. But I would appreciate the responses on the question. So because still we are missing the feel of your present physical conferences. So because of that, I try to make it the feel. The same feel of a physical conferences. So we'll try to make it a more interactive, because the subject is a generic subject, but it's not that generic, and it is still a concern. The subject is still a concern in today's world. So it will be more better if we do it in an interaction. So what are the nutraceuticals and why there is a question mark, and what are their types? So on types we will come later. Next slide please. On slides will come later. But let's talk on the first question. What are the nutraceuticals? Anyone from you can tell me uh, in one two words what are the nutraceuticals, or in one sentence? Anyone? And why there is a question mark? Okay. So nutraceuticals. Now the nutraceuticals. Next slide, please. Nutraceuticals and what are they? See, the nutraceutical term is a very generic term, and we keep hearing this term, keep across this term day to day life, nutraceuticals, and why during our studies and everywhere. But still, this term is in a question. Why it is in a question? Let's go deep into the question. Now, this term originally defined by Dr. Stephen DeFelice, so who was a founder of Foundation of Innovation Medicine. So this term was coined by him, nutraceuticals, and before that there was a term of functional foods, food supplements, and others. So in terms of his definition, nutraceutical was used to describe food or food components which have the potential to cure specific disease conditions. Now, we all know. And the syncretic neologism of nutraceutical, or one can easily decode this nutraceutical term as a nutrients and pharmaceuticals. But what is the real meaning of that? Nutrients and pharmaceuticals. That forms a nutraceutical term. But what is the real meaning? And that's why when we go to the real meaning or real definition, or a concrete definition of nutraceuticals, it becomes a question. Because when we go to the definition of food supplement or functional foods, these definitions allow, according to the different regulatory authorities worldwide, there is a concrete or specific definition of food supplements or functional foods or whatever, but you will not get a specific, precise definition of nutraceuticals anywhere in the globe. That's why this term is in a question, and that's why I put the question in front of nutraceuticals. Now, why? Why is it so? Now, we go to the different definitions of the pharmaceuticals, functional foods or food supplements. There is a specific definition which says that if the nutrients come from the food, or specific foods, or the sources of foods are defined in that, or they claims there are the claims if there is a use of these nutrients for the specific treatment or prevention of specific diseases, or in terms of nutrients, hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes,
yes, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. So in terms of additional health benefits during the diet or beyond the diet, in this terminology, the functional foods has been bracketed, or functional food supplements has been bracketed. But for the nutraceuticals, there is a big gray area, and that gray area starting from the food and ends with the pharmaceuticals. And in between this gray area, this nutraceuticals falls in place. So that's why this gray area need to be digged out, need to be studied scientifically, need to be established properly. Now, as the name would suggest, nutraceutical combine the nutrients derived from the natural food sources, which with health promoting implications of pharmaceutics. Now, in this way, we can define the nutraceuticals. But why there is a gray area? I'm saying, because if we go to the stepwise definitions of food supplements, functional foods, and nutraceuticals, you will not find any distinct difference. But yes, according to the whatever regulations are there in the market, in the regulatory authorities globally, there is a difference. There is a practical difference during the execution of the market of these products, different products, food supplements, food functional foods, dietary foods, and the nutraceuticals. There is a practical difference you will come across. That's why when we talk about the terms, we will not find any difference. But when we actually execute these terms into the business, we'll come across the distinct differences. And these differences have not been addressed so far till date with any regulatory authorities globally, because nutraceuticals still being regulated with the food acts or food legislations worldwide. That's why this distinct differentiation have not been addressed, not been defined precisely for the nutraceuticals, and they have not been differentiated precisely or specifically from the food supplement or foods, functional foods. So that's why the nutraceuticals, even if it is a generic term, even if it is a routine term we are coming across, but when it comes to the business, there is a gray area which will come across into day-to-day business executions. So that's why this nutraceutical is still the area of concern. We'll discuss this in detail when we come to the regulations. But yes, the nutraceutical, the simple definition is nutrients and pharmaceuticals. The nutrients derived from the natural foods or functional foods or natural origin, which have health promoting benefits, which have dietary benefits beyond the diet, which have ability to prevent or treat any disease or ailment. Those all products are coming or falling under the nutraceutical category. Now, that's why the nutraceutical beyond the diet, but before the drugs. So this beyond the diet and before the drug, this is what the gray area for a nutraceutical. And in this area, nutraceuticals is being covered, which is need to be addressed precisely. Now, what are the types of nutraceuticals? Again, there is a confusion. There is not a precise or specific differentiation classification of the nutraceuticals. Every jurisdiction treats nutraceutical in their own way. Like US treats nutraceuticals in their own understanding. Japan treats nutraceutical in their own understanding. Canada, Australia treats nutraceuticals in their own understanding, and India treats in our own understanding. So that's why there is no precise or global classification. There is no precise global definition of the nutraceutical. There is which is accepted by the globe. A unified definition of nutraceutical, which is accepted by globe. A scientific definition I'm talking about. A generic definition is same everywhere, but a scientific definition of nutraceutical as per the guidelines or universal guidelines, there is a lack of that definition. Still there is a lack of that definition. And in the same way, there is a still lack of this classification globally, nutraceuticals. Now, uh, even within a one jurisdiction, there may be references of dietary supplement, functional foods, medicinal foods, or pharmaceuticals. Not PHARMA, it is a pharma, FARMA, which denotes from the natural origin or plant sources. So, categorization of these nutraceuticals is has emerged to differentiate between nutraceuticals that either have or have not undergone clinical trials or successfully demonstrated beneficial health properties. Now, according to this statement, all products which have health benefit or which are known for the health benefits to treat any disease or ailment, to prevent any disease or ailment, or to have any additional health benefits beyond the diet, or even in regulatory dietary as a nutrient, they are beneficial. So all these products are falling under this category, a nutraceutical. But in this case, the product which have a clinical trials, or even those products which are not having any clinical trials or successfully demonstrated the claim they are claiming for the product, all these products are falling in the same category. And that's why this confusion comes up. That's why this classification or types of nutraceuticals is not being precisely established till date in a global scenario. Okay. So still the generic classification we can go through for the nutraceuticals. Those are insoluble and soluble dietary fibers, then probiotics, prebiotics, polysaturated fatty acids, then vitamin C, vitamin E, or vitamins, then polyphenol micronutrients, and spices and herbs. So all these words we already heard, we are well familiar with all these words. And but these words, when we put it together, they made a very vast area or very vast subject for debate, because spices and herbs cannot be similar with the insoluble or soluble dietary fiber, or they are not even in the same category, you can say. They can't be put it together because they are distinctly different. But still, in this classification, they are they are being considered as a nutraceutical, even though they are distinctly different scientifically with their existence, with their chemistry, with their everything. They are still considered in a single category of nutraceutical. That's why this confusion happens, and that's why this confusion about the nutraceutical coming up. Okay, so still I'm saying this is a very generic classification of the nutraceutical, and still there is a lack of globally accepted scientific classification for the nutraceutical, because in current scenario, what is happening, everything which is having health benefit and coming from the natural sources, either from the plant, either from the animals, they are putting everything is being kept or being placed under the category of nutraceutical, which is not right for the execution of the business. When we actually try to market these types of product, there are different challenges we are coming across, and that's why the precise classification and precise definition of the nutraceutical is a current need of our in this segment. And this is only because this area or this segment of science is being ignored, or it was ignored since last many decades. Scientific ignorance, I am saying. We already familiar with each and everything. We already talked a lot of on nutraceutical. We know everything: vitamin C, vitamin E, spices, herbs, everything we know. We are all well familiar with all these terminologies, but the scientific framework for this concept or for this word is still missing globally, because the execution asks for the regulations, and regulations asks for the scientific theory, not a generic theory or not a historic theory. Execution asks scientific theory, which is based on science and the proof of science or scientific data evidences. So that somewhere is still missing in this segment, that is nutraceuticals, and that's why the definition and classification is still falling in a gray area of beyond food and before the drugs. That's why the nutraceuticals, this term is still in question. But yes, this is from the business point of view, this nutraceutical category is considered easy to market product, and there are not much headache to comply with to get this product into the market. But now the pandemic, how that pandemic has impacted this segment, we all know, and how this nutraceutical category or herbal product category or natural origin product category has emerged, suddenly emerged with a lot of potential into the business. We all know, and we all know the growth, how this growth has been taken place in this after this pandemic. So we'll discuss that in opportunity. Next slide, please. Now the global opportunity. As we know, how this pandemic, COVID pandemic, affected the whole business of the nutraceutical or food category or natural food supplements. Now, here we'll go to the numbers. This is very recent market research data, global nutraceutical market research data. So, global market size in 2020 was about 117.70 billion USD, which is very big number actually. And this was the value of nutraceutical global market in 2020, and which was expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 8.9%. 8.9% with this valuation is too big for next 8 years. And this growing demand, why this growing demand is happening? Because there is a huge demand, increased demand for a food supplement or natural products. And why that demand has got increased, we all know. Now, why that demand has got increased? Because now people are being self-educated, and there is a rising concern regarding hazardous effect of conventional pharma drugs as expected. And that's why this rising concern regarding hazardous effect of conventional drugs, that there is a huge demand, increased demand for this or this type of product into the global market. Now why this? What is the example? Now we all know, during the COVID-19 treatment in initial days, those drugs made millions or billions or trillions in merely 6-8 months, like fluconazole or any drug which was initially being used to treat COVID-19. After clinical trials, they have been proven that these drugs are failed into the clinical trials of COVID-19. So that's how business or market is being driven, and that's the reason when this happened during the COVID-19, the drugs which were people were taking, or government was included those drugs into the COVID-19 treatment protocol on a first priority. Those drugs have been proven failed to treat COVID-19 afterwards, after clinical trials result data came up. And that became the primary reason to get people self-educated about the hazardous effects of conventional pharma drugs. And now in general, the people have made up their mind that this drug or chemical drugs has a lot of hazardous effect, and this COVID-19 have strengthened this general faith of people, uh, to make them believe that yes, they are thinking right, and that's why they declined, or they moved towards the natural products, or that's why they moved towards the natural origin products or health supplements. Or because when we switch on the TV, in 5 product advertisement, we'll get 1 or 2 advertisement of food supplement, a new product introduced in last 1-2 years. So that's how this nutraceutical market has got driven during the pandemic. And this pandemic impacted a lot in various dimensions to this market. And that's why this 117.7 billion USD value of last year nutraceutical is still going to increase by 8.9% CAGR. So that's how the opportunity, global opportunity for this market is there. Nutraceutical will be a huge market in upcoming or next few years. So this is how the global opportunity for the nutraceuticals is there. A huge global opportunity. Next slide. Now, how this COVID-19 pandemic impacted, we already discussed. But if we go to many other countries, COVID-19 treatment protocol, government COVID-19 treatment protocol, we all know, this COVID-19 has been started from China. But when we view the China's COVID-19 treatment protocol or any European countries' COVID-19 treatment protocol, there were hardly if there are 10 products, 10 different products is being given to the COVID positive patients, only 1 or 2 products would be your chemical drug, or not even one. In China, not even a single chemical drug was there in their protocol. All products were from a natural origin or from a food supplement category or from a nutraceutical category. In China, I'm talking. So likewise, same many countries from European region, they were following the same treatment protocols from a natural origin or from a nutraceutical COVID-19 treatment protocol, just to boost your immune system, your immunity increasing, to increase your immunity, and just to prevent a disease. So still there were no any precise clinical trial data established for any of this nutraceutical product to treat the COVID-19, but still these products were on top priority for these countries' COVID-19 treatment protocol. And that's how the perception, even of the scientific people's perception towards the nutraceutical is this. Now this pandemic, how big it was, we all know. And still nutraceutical was the first choice to treat this much big pandemic for these countries. Shows it all, the opportunity of this market or this segment or this nutraceutical area is this much big because of this reason. And COVID-19 has given all plus points to concentrate more from the business perspective to the nutraceutical. So that's how the global opportunity for nutraceutical is there in coming 10 years. So again, the consumers have been preferring multivitamins because we all know what we take. We know kadas, we know different tonics, we know the multivitamins. Even the vitamin C was the first choice of product during this pandemic for your immunity boosting. So that's how this nutraceutical played a role in this pandemic. And that's how they emerged with a new potential to treat any kind of disease or any kind of ailment or even any kind of pandemic. So that's how these nutraceuticals have the potential to play a role as a pharmaceuticals and not only as a food. So that's how they are. As per my view, they are more declined towards the pharmaceuticals and not and less towards the food. So that's how this gray area, and obviously the global regulators is now thinking in the same line that nutraceuticals should be more towards the pharmaceuticals and less towards the food side. And that's how this gray area can be enlightened, and that gray area can be minimized, and these nutraceuticals can be scientifically established separately as a separate segment, like food, like pharmaceutical drugs. So that's how now the thinking process of global regulators are going on this line for the nutraceuticals because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And why there is emerged or why there is a high demand for these nutraceuticals, there are so many reasons, but again the uh, geriatric population rise in globe. This is again the one of the prime reason. And uh, the adverse effect of the chemical drugs, again the price in increasing price of this pharmaceutical drugs treatment. This is again the second point you can say. So all these points are coming together, and these things are actually driving this nutraceutical market, and that's why there is a rise in demand of nutraceuticals by the people globally. And obviously, definitely, after this pandemic gets ends, this will continue, and this nutraceutical will take a routine, take their place into the routine dietary habits of the people, and they will be a part of your every people's day-to-day life when they came from the diet, or when they talk about the diet and dietary benefits or health. So this diet and health will come together, and that with the bridging part will be a nutraceuticals in day-to-day life. So that's how this pandemic impacted on whole healthcare system. And from that agitation, nutraceutical came up above the drugs, and that's how the market is being driven by this pandemic effect for the nutraceutical. Now the regional insights, again the Asia Pacific led the global market in 2020. Even our Indian market led in front. The revenue share more than 30% and estimated to expand further with 10.7%. So again, this 10.7 from Asia Pacific only, including the India, this is very much high percent of growth for that value, that 417.7 billion USD of last year's value of global nutraceutical market. For that valuation, this is too much high growth rate from area Pacific only. Still, we are not talking about the globe. And if we go through the regulatory countries, this regular habit of the diet is more specific with these people, and they are more inclined towards the natural products. They are more their first choice is always be a natural product. If we go through European countries, if we go through US like country, or Canada or Australia, so all these people's daily habits or daily intake dietary habits are being changed, and they are more concentrating, or they are more declining towards the nutraceutical. But still, we are not talking about those developed countries, and only the Asia Pacific led in front with the 30% of global market share. So that's how this nutraceutical is coming up with the business potential, with the global opportunity into the global market of a healthcare system, a complete healthcare system. And they are coming near to the drug market. Now, growing trend of food fortification with a nutraceutical product is anticipated to create a huge opportunity that we already discussed. So the changing lifestyle along with the rapid urbanization have led to the consumer inclining towards healthy diet options. So obviously, this pandemic has primarily taught us that we should be strong enough, we should be immune enough. So immunity is a prime concern, become prime concern for everybody, even literate, illiterate, everyone. For everyone, the immunity become a prime concern. What this pandemic has taught us. So that's why the area urbanization of even the urbanization of the thoughts of the people has been taken place. So that's how the people are, even the rural people are also now thinking very scientifically, and that's why the food habits is being changed drastically as per the earlier habits. And everyone is inclining towards the nutraceutical or the natural products, and their first choice is always being a nutraceutical or natural products, and that is overcoming the drug use. So that's how this nutraceutical has the potential for the business potential in the global market. And yes, our region, our Asia Pacific region, including India, is leading that market. And obviously, India, again, when we go to the Asia Pacific country wise, India is again leading from the front uh, uh, and capturing more share into the global market in this nutraceutical segment in Asia Pacific itself. Next slide, please. Now we'll come to the global regulations for the nutraceuticals. Now, when we talk about the regulations, why we need the regulations for the product, for the ease of the business. Next slide. For the ease of the business. Now, why that ease is required? Why that ease is required? Because product should be easily get penetrated to the market. It should be easily get available for the people. And once the product is available for the people should believe that yes, this product is safe, efficient, and uh, affordable. So all these concerns are already being cleared once the product is in market. That people think yes, if this product is in market, it is available to buy. It means it has passed every regulations of the government, and it is comply with the every requirement, and yes, it is usable for us. It is we can take it, and we can without worry we can take it, because it is established with everything, established with science, established with everything. So that's how these regulations play a role, play an indirect role into the marketing of this product. So that's why the regulations is required for every product or every product category. When we compare regulations of the drug and we to the food supplements, or as I said, nutraceutical is still being regulated under the food legislations, food laws. There is no different laws or different guidelines or different regulations for nutraceuticals for from any regulatory authority, not even in India. So every country, every regulatory authority is treating nutraceuticals under the food only. So that's the reason there is a gray area. There is still area of concern. There is still need of much more study, much more precise classification, much more precise scientific attention to this area. Now, let's talk about the specific regulations. Now, there, as I said, there is a global challenges for the nutraceutical, because every country treats nutraceutical segment or nutraceutical terminology by their own way. There is not globally accepted regulatory framework for the nutraceuticals, and even food, and every country, as I said, every country is treating nutraceutical under the food legislations. But again, the food legislations or food laws again are different in a globe with respect to various countries. Let's take an example. In Japan, functional foods are defined according to their use of natural ingredients. And in US, even the ingredients from the biotechnology products or from the biotechnology, those ingredients also can be a content in the product, and that product also can be considered as a food product, functional food product. So there is a distinct difference. There is a vast difference in both these things. But still, what we know is a functional foods. But we go by this concept to specific countries, we will come across these distinct differences. In Japan, this is the functional food. In US, this is the functional food. So that's how the confusion arises. A global confusion arises. That's why the nutraceutical needs much attention globally, and there is a need of different or specific, precise, defined regulations all over the globe, or globally accepted regulations, you can say. But that will only start once there will be established a globally accepted definition, established globally accepted classification, and from these points, all these things will start. And yes, now regulators coming on that same line, because if we herbal products, if we consider herbal products, we consider biotechnology product or content constituent from the biotechnology product. Both are different. Both are different, means by all ways, by all scientific ways, both are different. But still they are being treated as a same, under the same category of functional foods. So it is scientifically, if we say, it is not acceptable that much. Yes, scientifically both are different. Still, we are considering those things are the same, and that's why all this confusion, not only in the companies, not only in a regulators. This confusion I am talking about even normal people. Now, now you tell me the energy bars we are getting, the energy drinks we are getting, the normal juices we are getting, normal even curd, yogurt, uh, these things we are getting. All these things, how they can be placed under the similar category or under the single category of a food, functional food. It cannot be. If we talk about the juices contain uh, artificial content, whether the curd is not having any artificial, or there may be a preservative only. But again, this will be a natural preservative. So if we go to the process of manufacturing content wise, if we go to the if we claim the health benefit, and if we go to the mechanism of action, there is a lack of data which can substantially extend these things, and they extend these claims these products are making. The XYZ product is beneficial for this treatment, or to treat this disease. But how the perception going into the people's mind, if we talk about the curcumin, we know all what curcumin is benefit for. But if any product contain the curcumin, it doesn't mean that product will treat that original curcumin wala claim. It doesn't mean that. But still, we believe that if this product, if it is contain curcumin, it will treat that. But it is not. Scientifically, it is not. That's why the mechanism of action, the maximum claims, these nutraceutical products which are on the shelf of the market, maximum product is which products will fail in their uh, claims what they are making if they cross-checked with the clinical trials or whatever. But there is a lack of all this data for every product, and that's why this nutraceutical is still under question mark, because uh, this area from food to drug or pharmaceuticals, this area, gray area, is very 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 vast. And that's the reason we treat dietary fibers, we treat artificial energy drinks in the same way. So that's why this confusion, that's why this need of substantial differentiation of this nutraceutical from all other food or functional food or food supplement is much more needed in current days. Now, that I told you, every country, functional food is a global term, but every country have their own understanding of this global term, functional food. That's why a nutraceutical is in the question mark. Now, in general, what should be the goal of the nutraceutical product, or what is the goal of current nutraceutical product? As I mentioned earlier, the current nutraceutical products are more, they are giving more emphasis on labeling of the product and safety of the product. If we take any natural product or any nutraceutical product from the medical, you will get safety claims, you will get labeling, a decorated labeling, or the content mention of the content or all, and highlighting of the contents. Suppose tulsi on cup syrup, tulsi. So yes, we know there is a tulsi. So this kind of labeling and the safety, only these things are being emphasized, or these things are being addressed in the nutraceutical product. But when we compare this product with the pharmaceutical, we will not find that these product claims are being complied with or not. So the intended use is there, but yes, with that intended use, whether these products are complying or with complying or not, or whether there is a clinical trials data which can substantiate these claims or not. Yes, there is no clinical data for maximum number of products in market currently. So that's how this confusion happens, and that's why these nutraceutical are still being in a question mark and not compared or not being discussed with the drugs, and instead they are still being discussed with the food, but it should be discussed with the drugs more. So that's how it should be placed, and that is what need for this segment is now. And obviously, again, why this is accomplished through a good manufacturing by the GMP regulations and recently. Okay, whatever now we talked about vitamin C, whatever drugs there are in market from the natural category or from the herbal category, these products are being manufactured in the GMP. So according to the Indian regulations, yes, the product should be manufactured in GMP area. But again, why there is confusion, why there is a gray area, I'm again and again increasing these words. There is a confusion, there is a gray area. Now you tell me, vitamin C is being manufactured in a general block of the manufacturing of tablet. The vitamin C is a completely natural product, vitamin C tablet. And after that vitamin C manufacturing, if there is a manufacturing of aspirin or paracetamol, whatever drug product has been taken place, and after that drug product manufacturing, again there is a vitamin C manufacturing has been taken place. That product went into the market, and if any adverse reaction is observed into the market for that product, there will not be any data of the adverse product of vitamin C, because it has not been studied, because the clinical trials has not been done, because only because that product is a natural product. But if it is being manufactured in a general block in GMP area, where in the same area where the drug product is being manufactured, and there is a chances of cross contamination of these vitamin C tablets with the drug product, then how that cross contamination can be addressed, how these adverse reactions can be addressed. There is no mechanism, there is no process to address it for the nutraceutical. At company level, that will be addressed on the document, on CAPA or whatever provisions are there in the quality management system. On company level, it will be addressed. But from the consumer point of view, the addressing of such issues, it's still there is no such mechanism to address from the consumer point of view, because the product is natural and there is a general perception, general understanding, yes, there is no side effect since this being a product from a natural origin. This is what the general perception have been made in people's mind. But if that adverse effect has been happened, it either it will not be linked with the consumption of the natural product, or it will be linked with the something else. So this mechanism or lack of this mechanism addressing such issues, lack of this mechanism is a concern, in these regulations. And if we go through the current regulations, there is no globally accepted regulations for the nutraceutical. As I said, they are being regulated through the food legislations, through the food law. Still, that food laws or food legislations are different for the different companies. Now, how we will go country-wise or main country-wise regulations. Now, The general global market entry requirement. When we market the new product to any market in the globe, what that product needs to comply with. For the majority of countries, nutraceuticals are regulated as a category of food, which we all know. Okay. Now there are legislations, food laws, food legislations are present for the United States, European Union, then Association of Southeast Asian Nations as well. Means all these food categories or food supplements are being considered in those legislations or those regulations, and nutraceutical is being considered as a part of that food supplement or functional food category. So there is no separate regulation for any authority for treating this nutraceutical separately. Now, also in case of India, nutraceutical is falling under FSSI. This say that will come in next slide. But every country there is a food legislation, and nutraceutical is a falling under that food laws. Now these regulations largely stem from the food-based regulatory paradigm. So this food-based regulatory paradigm is there, and nutraceutical is falling under that paradigm. Therefore, some form of registration or notification-based system is needed to bring new product to market. Now, some countries follow these 2-3 approaches. Some countries require registration. Some countries do not require registration of the product, and they just notification is required, and manufacturer give the notification to the regulatory authority and can start marketing the product. Some countries needs a proper data, proper documents for the registering of that particular product before marketing. They undergo the approval process. Once it get approval from the regulatory authority, then only company can market that product in that specific area. So these 2-3 approaches are there to market nutraceutical, which is again the different for the different countries. So that's why this globally accepted regulation is still missing for this specific nutraceutical category. Now, in Latin America, again, the market, now when we talk about the global market, we talk about the country-wise, right? US market, European Union market, Australia, Canada, whatever. In that, again, Latin America is one of the region. In Latin America, again, there are various countries, small countries are there. In that same region also, for drug, the Latin America having similar regulations, but for the nutraceuticals, in this Latin America also, the different small countries follow different regulations for these nutraceuticals. So that's how this gray area increases for this specific category of nutraceutical. That's why there is a confusion for manufacturer, for consumers, and for the regulators as well. So this need to be streamlined somewhere, because the Latin America is a part of global market. In that, in the Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, they follow the registration process. Means nutraceutical need to be registered before market, need to be get approved, and then only we can start. But notification approach are being followed in Mexico and Chile, which are again the part of Latin America. So in the same region, it's like if we consider the India, Maharashtra following different rule, whereas UP will follow different rule, where Chennai will follow different rule. So that's how these nutraceuticals are being treated in within the region itself. Within the region, forget about the countries, big countries, regulatory countries, but within the small regions also, these nutraceuticals are being considered with own understanding, which is very restricted, and this need to be expanded. This need to be substantially extended with the scientific studies, scientific data, clinical trials. So that substantial extension, in line with the claims nutraceutical products are making, this substantial extension is much more needed with the scientific experimentation or scientific concern or scientific applications. So that's how the entry requirements are different for the different countries. Now, uh, 3 basic approaches are there to bring nutraceutical product into the market. The one is notification-based approach, which which ideally balances pre-market resources, consumer access, and consumer safety. Then key aspect, obviously, the key aspect for the nutraceutical to guarantee product safety and quality in the marketplace, regardless of pre-market requirements. Now, whatever pre-market requirements are there, regardless of that, not the regulatory authority is giving consent to that requirements, not the manufacturer bothered about those requirements. They just need to get the product into the market, and only the safety and quality of the product is being a matter of concern, but efficacy is much more ignored part of this nutraceuticals. As I said, we know a single content for the single health benefit or single scientific health benefit, which is proven, which is backed up, that proof of claim is there for that specific content. Scientifically, clinical data is available for that scientifically individual content or nutrient. But that content, if goes into some product, it doesn't mean that same product will give the same health benefit that individual content is known for. So, but still, people are claiming if that content, even nominal micrograms of that content goes into any product, people directly claims that yes, this product is known, can work on this. So that's how happening in this nutraceutical market, and not only in India, it is happening globally because of this scientific ignorance of this category. Only the safety and quality, there have been some parameter checks finally for finished good, and if that passes those parameters, there should not be impurity, there should not be visible impurity. If the scientifically constituents are established, then there should not be scientific chemical impurity. So all 2-3 parts has been giving address or being addressed into the quality checks, and that product is being released from the manufacturing and goes into the market. But when we talk about the mechanism of action, and related with that mechanism of action, when we cross check the quality checks or final quality approvals, will not get much details on those things. If we talk about the drug, if we talk about the aspirin, we know this much minimum dose of aspirin, this much maximum dose of aspirin, and when we go to the quality checks of those drug products, we'll get assay. The 99% assay is there. That confirms that yes, this tablet contains this individual aspirin 99.9%. That somewhere confirms the efficacy, and that efficacy gives the mechanism of action which that drug is known for. So that's how is being followed in that's how the process is being followed in drug, whereas in nutraceuticals that process is somewhere missing. That mechanism of action and efficacy part is somewhere missing, because the understanding or the thought process is very generic for the people to look towards the nutraceuticals category. Very generic, very generic. So that's how we are not getting much data on efficacy. We are not getting much data on clinical trials in the product, on the products in various countries. So that's how that's gray area becoming much deeper for the nutraceutical. But that somehow now people started giving concerns, giving attention to this gray area, and now it is moving in line globally. And this pandemic has a big impact on this thought process as well. Not only the market, but this thought process is also now changing slowly, and regulators also giving their attention to this gray area, and hope probably in next 10 years we'll be able to see the nutraceutical as a separate regulated segment, like a food, like drugs. Nutraceutical will be a separate regulated segment, so that people are started thinking on the same line. So that's how that's a global market requirement entry is there. Now, next slide. Now we'll go country-wise requirements. Now, European regulations. European Food Safety Authority. Now, this is the authority which regulates the nutraceutical, which regulates the food law and food legislations, and under which the nutraceuticals coming, right? So the European European authority now they regulates the nutraceutical as a food supplement, like they regulate nutraceutical as a food supplement. Again, the definitions, if we go through the definitions of the European legislations, there are precise definitions for the food supplement or for functional foods, but there is no specific definition for the nutraceutical. There is no specific definition. If we see this legislation has been introduced with the green paper in 1997 first, then European Parliament made this EFSA authority in 1997 with green paper introduction. Then white paper has been introduced on the food legislation. First was green paper was a food law. Then white paper was food legislation, and both was being what you can say, being regulated by this newly established authority, that is European Food Safety Authority by European Parliament. So after that green and white papers introduction, there has been various directives this authority has been given, and these directives. Hello, am I lost?
No, sir, you're audible.
Okay, these directives these directives has gone on updates. I mean, more concerns you will see. The more concerns were given to a new updated directive every time. So that's how this guidelines is also emerging with the time. These guidelines of the nutraceuticals or food supplements are also emerging with the time. But again, the same thing. Still, nutraceutical is being what you can say, being treated as a food supplement or a functional food. Just a 1 minute. I lost my presentation. Just a 1 minute.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. So we were talking about EFSA, European regulations. So in these regulations, it was started with the food law. Then food legislations has been came up in 2000. Then a new various directives has been introduced by the EFSA, and with that those directives, this food segment or food industry is being regulated in European Union, and nutraceutical is a part of that food group of food concepts. So nutraceuticals is being regulated by these various directives, and the recent directive is number 1924 2006, which was introduced in 2006. So this is no, the recent directive is yes, yes. The first directive was 2002-46 EC, European Union ka, and this recent directive is 1924-2006, which was introduced in 2006. So the what you can say, the glimpse of the of this guidelines is nutraceutical is still being treated as a food and not as a drug or not as a pharmaceutical. So there are guidelines for European and European Union or these guidelines or these directives have given a clear-cut definitions for a food supplement for the functional foods separately, but not a specific definition has been given or has been mentioned in these European guidelines, and they are being treated as a food law, food legislation regulations. Now in USA, the same thing, again, the same definition for the functional foods has been mentioned specifically, food supplement definition has been mentioned specifically in these guidelines, in US regulations, but not a nutraceutical guideline or nutraceutical definition has been given. So that's why the nutraceutical is still being a part of a food group, not as a separate area. Again, and the FDA, Food and Drug Administration of USA, recognizes nutraceutical as a dietary supplement and applies a specific set of regulations to both the finished supplement and dietary ingredients that differ from those of standard food and drug products. Now, again, the standard food and drug product are different. Apart from that, these regulations is giving a specific requirement to the finished supplement and the dietary ingredients, which are not applicable for the special routine food or standard food, you can say, are not applicable for the drug product. These are applicable for the group of this dietary supplement and the functional food category only. And nutraceutical is a part of that. So for that, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act has been introduced by US FDA, and this DSHEA is the authority which regulates food part or food segment from the US FDA, and nutraceutical is being considered for that regulations. And DSHEA is actually the regulatory authority for US country for this nutraceutical and for the food and food products. Now, this DSHEA, how this DHSA define nutraceutical, a product other than tobacco intended to supplement the diet that bears or contain one or more of the following dietary ingredients: that vitamin, minerals, herb or other botanical, amino acid, dietary substances for use by man to supplement the diet by increasing the total dietary intake, or a concentrated metabolite, constituent, extract, or combination of ingredients described above. Now, this is a more the explanation is more in this definition, but the brief of this definition is the same. The content which have health benefit, which originates from the natural sources, those are considered as a nutraceutical. But again, the same definition is for food and food supplements. So there is no distinct differentiation for the nutraceutical from these food supplements or this food group, you can say. So there is no distinct differentiation even in US FDA. And US FDA is considered as a topmost regulated authority in the world, US FDA. Still there is a lack of this concerns. Still there is a lack of this mechanism, this mode of operations to execute the nutraceutical regulations. Still there is a gray area. So, and forget about the India then. So, because even if US FDA is lacking these things, no, we can't expect from any other authority. But still, in Canada and in Australia, before going to India, in Canada and Australia, or some Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia, Singapore, then Taiwan-like countries. These countries ask for clinical trials for the nutraceutical products. They ask for clinical trial data or animal study data or human study data to register the product, even in a nutraceutical or food category, if the claim is about the health benefit. The health benefit to treat a disease, to treat or prevent specific disease, they ask for animal study. If the claim is scientific, they ask for scientific data from animal study or from your human study. So even US FDA is not asking for that, but still these countries, even Canada and Australia is more strict in that for that thing. They ask for this data, scientific data, but the smaller countries than Canada and Australia also asking for these countries. Even in China, also they ask for these animal and human studies first, for even for their natural products. If the claims are heavy or scientific, the claims are scientific, then they ask for the scientific, and that is what the need is there for nutraceutical to regulate this nutraceutical segment. That is what the need is. We should streamline the claim uh, with the data which can substantially extend that claim scientifically. That is what current need of our is for the nutraceutical in global, and that need should be accepted globally. The global acceptance is somewhere missing for this nutraceutical category, because everyone is having their own set of mind, and everybody treating this nutraceutical segment with their own understanding. So that's how this gray area is there. That's why this gray area is there. Now, coming to the Indian regulatory status, legal status in FSSI. Here, India, we all know FSSI is a regulatory authority which falling under Food and Drug Administration of India, DCGI, CDSCO. So FSSI is a regulatory authority, and which regulates herbal product, which regulates food supplement, which regulates even food. Whatever hotels we are going into, we take food into the hotel. All these things are being regulated by FSSI. Now you can consider the products which we are taking into the hotel and the products for the same or the products we are taking from the medical. Can it be treated with the same regulations? Can it be treated with the same? Miss Tulsion syrup or any vitamin C tablet or any natural syrup, and the product which we are consuming into the hotels, can it be treated with the same regulations? No, obviously not. But still, it is being treated in the same way under the same registration, that is FSSI. So that's how the confusion arises, even in people's mind. Even now, the people are being more self-educated, and that's why the current hours need is a regulation of the nutraceutical, a separate regulations of a nutraceutical product, nutraceutical segment globally, and that should be acceptable globally. Now, in India, as we know, FSSI regulates the nutraceutical market or regulates the food segment or nutraceutical, again in the part of that food segment. What they do now again, if we talk about the vitamins tablet, they are being manufactured in the same GMP facility which being regulated by FDA, and uh, uh, the drug product which are being regulated by FDA, the same facility is manufacturing vitamin C, which is being regulated by FSSI. Even though FSSI is a part of FDA, but the regulations, the considerations, the perceptions, the understanding is completely different. The scope of operation is completely different for both the things. And that's how this confusion arises. That's how there is no streamlined operations even for the regulations of this segment, this nutraceutical segment. And that is what the need is. So that's why the critical problems are not being addressed properly in this nutraceutical segment with respect to mechanism of action, with respect to adverse effect if it is there. If that product, as I explained earlier, if that nutraceutical product is being manufactured in GMP area where the drug product manufacturing is being takes place, if there is a contamination, adverse effects will be there. That adverse effect, the mechanism is not there to address such problems post-marketing. That's why nutraceutical products are being managed in market with pre-market and post-market surveillance of pre-market and uh, post-market research, and that is not being done by regulators. That is being done by manufacturers. If product is in market, they keep watch on the product performance with is with respect to revenue, not with respect to acceptance. And obviously, that revenue will be depend on the acceptance of that product by the consumer. But the industry is giving more emphasis with the revenue, and with that emphasis, they look on the product post marketing. And if that product is not performing well with the revenue, they just remove it. But why these products are not performing? Is there any why there is a decline of acceptance of the product by the consumer? It is not being studied deeply by even by the manufacturer, because in manufacturers also the general perception is that this nutraceutical or this herbal product or this natural origin product directives into the market, or these products are, or market of this product is being driven by the organoleptic characters and the labeling of the product, nothing else. Yeah, even means only the belief, self belief of the consumer is, yes, the product is from natural, and it is safe to us, and the content which that product is claiming is known for this benefit. Tulsi is good for your throat infection and all, so whatever, cough and all. Curcumin is known for this, and if if they found a picture of those constituent on the product, they made up of their mind ki, yes, the product is for this and I can take that, and they take. If they will get effect, they will continue to use. If will not be there, they will discontinue. Even even if they will, the product will not perform with their effect on into the consumer will still believe on that product, and they will continue, because only because that product is not given any uh, unwanted effect. So that is how this market is being given, and that's the reason, with this general perception of the public or consumer, that's the reason companies are not giving more emphasis on the science part of it, the mechanism of action and clinical trials and all. So, but again, the same product, if I want to market some cough syrup into India, the same product, if I want to market in China, or if I want to market in Australia, or if I want to market in Canada, I will not be able to, because in Canada, in Australia, they ask for the concrete data which can substantially extend your claims, or which can substantially give the proof of concept for your claims. So that's how they treat these things. But in India, we can easily market that. So that is the hurdle manufacturers faces during the marketing of the product. In case of drug, if I develop XYZ drug, or if I develop paracetamol drug product, I can market into any global market, because the ICH guidelines are there. Even though country specific guidelines are there, they ask for one or two more things instead of this over the global guidelines. The country specific guidelines ask one or two more things which are easily manageable. But in case of nutraceutical, India do not require any animal or clinical trial study. In India, nutraceutical or herbal product or functional food products do not need any clinical or animal study or human studies. They do not ask for, regulators do not ask for. But in other countries like Canada, Australia, Taiwan, they ask, China, they ask for the clinical trials. They ask for the animal studies. So that's how the hurdle came into the marketing for the manufacturer. That's why they keep concentrating on the easy to get into the market countries or market area. So that's how this nutraceutical is being treated globally. And manufacturing, when it comes to the regulation, manufacturing face problems here to different the same product into the different markets. They want to they need to develop a different product for the different countries for the same claim, because one country asking for the counter data to support the claim, one country doesn't ask for. So that product uh, can be more cheaper from the manufacturer's perspective, instead of that new product which are being going to another market which are asking for the clinical trials. So that's how there are hurdles even for the manufacturers. There are hurdles to market these products, because every regulation is different. Even though these terms are very generic, the operational part is very complicated, very complicated. It looks like simple, but practically it is very complicated, because uh, what is the problem? Again, I'll give you one example. What is the problem? uh, Even we develop, our company develop a product, but with the support of clinical trials. They did a clinical trials, they did animal study, they did human study, and they portray it as a nutraceutical. They marketed into the country, whether the same guidelines are there which ask for animal and human study, they can easily market there. But the same product as a nutraceutical or as a food supplement, they find various challenges to market the same product into the India-like country, where this animal and clinical trial are not needed for the product, because the general perception of public, as I told you earlier, the people will look towards that product as a food supplement only, not as an established scientific product. And therefore the manufacturing face actual challenges when the pricing comes in. The same product without animal and clinical trials, the same product consumer is getting, but with the animal and clinical trials, the same product with the higher price, why consumer will opt for that? So that's how there are challenges for the nutraceuticals to market, even for the manufacturers as well. So that's how nutraceutical stands into the market and whole healthcare chain. And this position of the nutraceutical is still uh, a big area of concern, and which need to be addressed very precisely and with the very precise scientific establishments. Now, the future prospect. Future prospect, as I said, pandemic has got a huge impact on whole healthcare system. People are more inclining towards the natural products, because they can see every day that this drug is failed in this COVID-19 trade. This drug have this effect. This vaccine is have this adverse effect. So and the social media made it easy to spread even the fake information. So people are being self. There is no boundaries for social media for rural and urban. The same message is being spread in Mumbai. Same message is being spread in somewhere in rural village in India. So there is no boundary for that information spread. So that's why the people are becoming self-educated, which may be the education may be wrong, but that education is being spread by the social media, whatever, irrespective of right or wrong, that is being spread. And that's why there is a urbanization of the rural area as well, because of this social media, and that urbanization playing a big role into the changing of lifestyle, changing of day-to-day habits of the people with respect to diet, with respect to intake, with respect to food perceptions, with respect to chemical drugs perception. So all this is being important drivers of whole healthcare market, and that's why even the people from the rural area are becoming more uh, they are more concerned about the self immunity or immunity boosting of self health. They are more concerning about those things, because earlier it was the only matter of concern for the urban people only, but now it is not. There is no boundary for this thinking, and this is becoming general or generic thinking everywhere. And that's why uh, the future prospect of this nutraceutical is a very promising, and that's asked for a precise definition, a precise structuring, precise mechanism of mode of mechanism of operation or execution of this nutraceutical, from idea to commercialization, or idea concept to commercialization, is much more needed at present. So that's how nutraceutical stands into the market currently. And yes, the future is a very big future. Nutraceutical segment is having. There is a very big opportunity. Next slide, please. There is a very big opportunity for regulators, for marketers, for consumers. There is a big opportunity for everyone in this nutraceutical segment. So that's why the future, if we talk about the future of the nutraceutical, is think health, think nutraceuticals, and this will be a future. And hopefully, we'll be able to see a nutraceutical as a separately established regulatory segment in coming years in the healthcare segment. So that's how nutraceutical stands in a global healthcare chain. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your knowledgeable session on the nutraceutical opportunities and the regulations. There are a few questions in the chat box. The first question is from Dr. Varsha Tiwari. Recent research shows that the vitamin C has got the very significant role in the COVID-19. What minerals may be benefited in the COVID-19 in your point of view?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. I will repeat the questions. The recent research shown that the vitamin C has got very significant role in the COVID-19 management. Apart from that, what minerals may be benefited in the COVID-19 as per your point of view as a nutraceuticals?
Minerals for COVID-19.
Yes.
Yeah, see, vitamin C is a known immunity booster. As we all know, vitamin C is a known immunity booster, but there is no specific human studies established for vitamin C. But with the general perception, vitamin C is known immunity booster. Vitamin C has been widely used, has got widely used into the COVID-19 treatment. Even it was a part of a protocol as well, a treatment protocol. And along with that, not only vitamin C, we've seen various natural products from that perspective. But अगर सिर्फ minerals पे बात करने हैं तो there are a lot of other things like vitamin A, B, C, D, E, K. These micronutrients or sodium, zinc, potassium, chloride, calcium, this all is a general category and which can be beneficial for the COVID. Every mineral can be beneficial for COVID. Why? Because if we go to the etiology, forget about the etiology, the symptoms. If we go to the symptoms, there is for COVID-19, there is no specific symptoms of the COVID-19. These are very unpredictable symptoms we came across through whole COVID-19 pandemic. Nothing was defined. No symptom was precisely defined, right? So, and initially treatment was being done on the basis of the symptoms doctor can observe. But now again, when Omicron has came up, there is no defined symptoms has been established yet for Omicron. And when we started to talk about Omicron, there has been Omicron like from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia has been introduced into the world. So this is the first genetic mutation of Omicron like. So that's how this journey is being taken place for pandemic. And from this journey, from these various mutations, various genetic mutations, there is no time to establish the precise symptoms because anything can happen with the body. And any part of the body can get impacted. So whatever known for the health benefit at present in current days in herbal source or from animal source or from whatever sources we have, it can be beneficial. That completely depends on what symptoms we are getting from that infection. So whatever known constituents are there, whatever known natural nutrients are there, whatever known natural chemical entities are there for a particular claim, for a particular health benefit, all those can be beneficial, but that completely depends on the what type of symptoms we are getting from that infection. So yes, everything is beneficial like at present, at least for the next.
Thank you, sir. Next question is from Satish Meshram. Which cost-effective formulations can be formulated for the with the nutraceutical for the patients?
Now, this is very generic question, I would say. Which cost-effective formulation can be developed for the